What's up guys, Dan here. I'm out here in Florida today, and in this video I'm going to talk about why you should be starting an online business today after you watch this video, and how online business, and specifically Amazon FBA, completely changed my life at the age of 21 and now 22. And it's just crazy, the things that have happened in my life. It's been the greatest journey in entrepreneurship since I started, and I'm going to share that with you in this video. I'll be talking about how entrepreneurship and Amazon FBA has allowed me to reach the happiest moments in my entire life. Right now I'm the happiest I've ever been, and it's allowed me to reach milestones that I never thought I could achieve ever. So hopefully after you watch this video, you'll know that if I could do it, anybody can do it. And right now, today in 2019, it is the best time. We are living in the most prosperous time with the most amount of abundance, the most amount of opportunities for anybody out there who wants to go out there and achieve freedom in their life. Dead at 25, but not buried until age 75. That's exactly how I felt only probably 2 years ago when I was completely broke. I was lost. I was stuck in a 9-to-5 job. I was working at one of the biggest banks in Canada. And, you know, looking back to see how far starting Amazon FBA has gotten me and starting entrepreneurship has gotten me is absolutely insane. And I wonder every single day as I travel the world, as I continue to make videos on YouTube, and as I continue growing my online businesses, I wonder every single day why there are still people out there that believe in this old way of thinking, in this old way of believing that someone out there is going to help you achieve your dreams. Because I started Amazon FBA, and I'm willing to say this right now, because I did that one thing and I started entrepreneurship as a whole, I was able to reach the happiest situation in my entire life. Right now I'm the happiest I've ever been. In the past 1 to 2 years, I've been able to live through some amazing experiences, and I've just been incredibly happy overall. Why? Because I've been living a life that's true to myself. If you're new to the channel, I'm a 22-year-old entrepreneur, internet entrepreneur, and I always knew that I was destined for more. Just like everybody else watching this video right now, you know that you're destined for more. However, right, for some reason I ignored all of the signs. For some reason I ignored all the voices inside of me that told me that, hey, there are so many opportunities out there today. And even though back then I didn't know about Amazon FBA and selling on Amazon, I just started searching. I always had this feeling that going to school, going to university, getting a 9-to-5 job just like everybody else, paying off college debt for the rest of my life, and then living just a very mediocre average life, I always had a feeling that that wasn't the only way. And I knew that I was destined for more. However, even with that thinking, I still found myself completely stuck. I found myself stuck in that exact situation. And I was actually honestly wondering how I got myself stuck. And now looking back in hindsight, it's just so easy to tell the signs. And so I know exactly what you're facing right now in your life. And so that's why I'm making this video for you. I'm making this video for you out there who is wondering if your life can be so much more, and you know it can be so much more, and how to achieve that passive income freedom, how to achieve ultimate freedom in your life so you don't have to go and stick to society's script. And you know, at the beginning, I was so scared to even start it. And it all started when I was in my parents' house, lying in my bed every single night thinking, you know, and I was literally facing a quarter-life crisis. I didn't even know that existed, right? People have a midlife crisis, but I was literally facing a quarter-life crisis. And when I was lying in my bed, in my parents' house back then, every single night, I was wondering, what the hell is going on? Like, where is my life going? There's got to be more. And so I had this really bad feeling in my stomach, in my gut, and then eventually got to a point where I knew I had to do more. I knew I was destined for more. And I realized that the only way for me to achieve that was for me to become an entrepreneur. And so what I did was I literally went online, and then I typed in how to become an entrepreneur, and then I found out that, okay, like books will actually help you. And then I started typing in best books to read for beginner entrepreneurs. And back then I thought that entrepreneurship, I thought that you had to have money to start a business. I thought you needed connections to start a business. I thought that you needed all of these things that you don't actually need. I'm telling you right now where you are, you could be living a life that is so different than everybody else. You could be living a life that's so much better than everybody else if you take what I'm saying in this video, if you accept it as truth, because I'm only trying to help you. It's part of my mission, it's part of my life purpose. If you just accept this as truth, and if you go out there and apply this to your own life and start your own Amazon FBA business. And as I started reading more and more books, it seemed like I was only reading books. The first book that I read was Rich Dad Poor Dad, which actually got me thinking about life. It got me thinking about this whole lie that I've been told and that everyone's been told. The 99% versus the 1%. We live in a capitalist society, but for some reason we've all been taught to accept it as part of the workforce and not to become entrepreneurs, where the real rewards lie, right? Risk versus reward. That's what society rewards today. Risk, calculated risk. And so I realized that back then. But what I was looking for was a specific way to actually start making money. And I knew that online business was the way to go because I was looking at, for example, Amazon. I knew people were selling on Amazon, and I was like, hey, dude, wake up. It's 2018. Back then it was 2017. Now it's 2019. It's honestly crazy how time flies and how fast things can change in your life when you're willing to accept the truth, when you're willing to wake up. And so I realized that Amazon is going to be the dominating force in this century, or one of the dominating forces. And so there is a way to sell on Amazon, and that's obviously an online business that millions of people out there are extremely successful at, right? Those that failed to give up, those that actually decided to learn it and decided to commit to it, because I realized quickly that the only way to achieve something in your life, if you actually decide to commit to it. And so back then, even lying down in my parents' house every single night, pretty much depressed, wondering how the heck am I going to get out of this college debt that I got myself in. My parents came from Europe and they brought me to Canada when I was just 2 years old. And so I had this duty to fulfill to become successful. And I knew that I was not going to be able to pay for my parents' retirement if I decided to follow this traditional path. And so I decided to just sit down and accept that, hey, Dan, you're going to have to take responsibility for your life. You're going to have to make a change. And clearly, people are successful on Amazon FBA, and clearly it's better than all the other businesses that you've started in the past, because at the time I started reading books, and then I started a social media marketing agency where we actually got a couple, it was me and my business partner at the time, we actually got a couple of clients, lawyers, but we quickly realized that we don't want to do client work because client work isn't scalable. And it's funny because nobody tells you that, right? I can't be right now in Florida working on my online business, going to the beach every single day, and then just, pretty much enjoying life, experiencing a life of total ultimate freedom, while I have clients calling me left and right saying, hey, what's wrong with my ads? What's wrong with this? What's wrong with that? So I knew that, okay, social media marketing, nope. I also knew, no, we're not going to do cryptocurrency. That's just speculation. So I was like, okay, let's build a real business. And so I realized that e-commerce was where I was going to go and make my first million, essentially. I knew that e-commerce was where I was going to go and build my first successful online business. And so as I started watching more and more videos on Amazon FBA, I quickly realized that this is something that I can actually do, and if I commit to it, then I'll become extremely successful at it. Of course, there's going to be failure, but at the time, I was just willing to quit everything. I was willing to drop out of college, and I did. And I also left my job. I quit my job. If you know my story, you've heard this 1,000 times. But it's important to just explain to you just how fast things changed in my life, because things will change even faster in your life. And so I dropped all of that. I burnt all my bridges, right? And my parents and everybody taught me, they taught me that, hey, don't burn your bridges. And then I picked up Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, which is an amazing book. Anything by Napoleon Hill is amazing. Think and Grow Rich is one of the best business books of all time. And in Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill said, burn your bridges, because then you're forced to become successful. So I burnt all my bridges. I dropped out of school. I left my job. And then I started Amazon FBA. And at the time when I was starting Amazon, I was so excited because I knew that I'm part of this wave of the future. I'm adapting to the future. And I knew that I was leaving the old behind. Things that, from like this society script from like the 40s, 50s, and 60s, when there was no such thing as the internet, when there was no such thing as online business, and people were forced to go to university. If you wanted to start a business, you had to go and start with like an actual physical location. You would start with a lemonade stand or something, right? So, I actually had read a quote in a book, and it was by Charles Darwin, and it went along the lines of this. It said, and it really made a profound impact on me. It said, it is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the smartest. It is the most adaptable to change. Something like that. So it is not the strongest of the species, nor the most intelligent of the species, but the species that can adapt the most to change is the one that survives and wins. And so I realized it's time to adapt. It's time to get up. It's time to adapt to what's going on in my life. And when I started, I was just all in. Many who struggle nowadays have an extremely strong work ethic. You see people all around. You see construction workers every single day. I actually just went on my morning run here in Florida, and I noticed, there was a landscaper, and he was working extremely hard, right? When you go on a run in a city, you see construction workers, you see, landscapers, all these extremely hard manual labor workers. And why do they work so hard yet get paid so little? It's because they're channeling all of that hard work into an outdated and ineffective system, right? Like mowing lawns and doing construction, right? Obviously we need that in society, but to make money, if that's your goal, it's an outdated and ineffective system. I don't know if it was ever effective, to be honest with you. And so they work extremely hard, but all of their efforts go into something that is not scalable, like Amazon FBA. All of their efforts go into something where they pretty much they work today, they get paid for today, that's it. There is no guarantee of the future. You're not going to get paid next week for the work you've done today. But the difference with Amazon is you invest into a product, you find a a product, you build a brand, it's up there, it's selling, and then boom, you've got passive income for however long you keep that product in stock, right? And you'll literally only work, like I work on my products maybe 1 or 2 hours a month, right? Like when they're already up and running. And so I realized that early. I knew that no matter what, like selling my time for money at this job that I used to work at the bank, it's not gonna work. It's an outdated and ineffective system. College is an outdated and ineffective system. I was not gonna be able to travel, and I can tell you right now that if I did not listen to myself there, and if I did not realize that, hey, I need to stop channeling my focus into an outdated and ineffective system, I would not be here today in this room working on my online business, as you can see over here. Right? Like this is literally what I do. And then, we're gonna go to the beach later. And now just to give you guys a timeline, when I started Amazon FBA, I quickly reached multiple six figures. I was making $30,000 a month, my first successful product. So I actually had gone through a couple failures, which is a normal part of entrepreneurship. You will for sure experience failure, but that's the beautiful part of it, because it's gonna teach you and you're gonna feel so good about yourself. You're gonna feel so damn good about yourself when you actually become successful. I actually just interviewed one of my students, Susan. She's 60 years old and she's been at this for like a year, I believe now. And so she's 60 years old and she just made $16,000 in January. And the interview is on my channel right here. I'm also interviewing another student today. His name is Lucas. He's killing it on Amazon Europe, UK, Germany, France. So it's unbelievable. But obviously everybody's faced failure. If you think that you're gonna just go and even though the method is great, like Amazon FBA is great, even though it's effective, it's scalable, it's passive, it doesn't matter. Like, you're gonna have to learn, you're gonna have to go through that learning phase. Right now, you don't know anything about entrepreneurship, you don't know anything about online business, but you can become extremely good at it, and that's the goal. So I grew my Amazon FBA brand, I started traveling the world, and then I started this YouTube channel because I always wanted to spread the word. I just could not allow myself to keep it within me. I wanted to wake people up, I wanted to help people, and so that's why I started this YouTube channel, and it's reached I think it's reached millions at this point now, and I am so incredibly happy. That is actually why I'm the happiest I've ever been in my entire life. And I was also able to become a millionaire at the age of, it was 21 and a half, I became a millionaire. Now I'm 22. And so obviously the goals are much higher than that now, and they're more about helping people as well. Money's still incredibly important. I use it as a goal, so I always have a money goal, but it's absolutely crazy. And that just shows you that, like me coming from nothing, and then going to this new world of online business, Amazon FBA, and then pretty much I was actually cleaning windows at the time too to make money for my Amazon business. When I decided to quit everything, I was like, I still need to have some money to start. So the videos of that are like on my channel. If you go to my channel, click on the oldest videos, I was vlogging myself cleaning windows, right? That shows you right there, that's old Dan from like a year or 2 years ago now. And although there were hardships, all the hardships were part of pursuing the dream. And one of my favorite quotes is, pursuing the dream is the dream itself. That's what you gotta understand. It's not Amazon, it's not making a ton of money online, right? Of course, that's essential, right? And you will get to that point, but pursuing the dream is the dream itself. And so I've got a ton ahead of me. I'm only 22 years old, but hopefully this video can inspire a lot of you guys out there that are wondering why there are so many people that are successful and you're not. And your life is mediocrity and your life is average, right? It doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. An extraordinary life will require an extraordinary story. And part of that extraordinary story are gonna be hardships, failures, obstacles, all of that. It's all part of the story. And I'm telling you, getting on this journey of entrepreneurship has been the greatest journey I've ever started in my entire life. And I definitely will be continuing it until I die. And I want to end this video with a quote by J.K. Rowling. This one's actually on my phone. It is impossible to live without failing at something unless you live so cautiously that you might as well have not lived at all, in which case you have failed by default. And that's by J.K. Rowling. Obviously, you know that's the author of the Harry Potter series. So don't be afraid of failure, and don't be afraid of trying something new, right? And it doesn't matter how old you are as well. Don't just think because I'm 22, maybe it's only for 22-year-olds. I just said, Susan, she's 60 years old, and she joined the Ecom Freedom X course back when it first opened up, when I first opened it up to students in November 2017, and she became incredibly successful with that at 60 years old. So don't think that this is only for young people. These are all excuses you create in your head, all right? So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the channel if you guys did. Leave me a like, leave me a comment, and I'm just trying to pave the way for you guys to improve your life. I'm trying to really help you guys out there wake up to the opportunities today, all right? The world is changing. You've got to adapt, and you've got to leave the old behind. Cut the old off. Cut the old off. All right, subscribe, like, follow me on social media, Instagram, Snapchat. Links are somewhere here. I'll see you guys soon. Hope you guys enjoyed this video.